Well, morning, everybody. We're going to start our first set of notes for Math Essentials, and it's going to be 1-1 exponents and order of operations. Okay, I might be jumping back and forth between this slide and another to kind of practice some problems. I'll try to keep that to a minimum, but let's get started. So first, to simplify an expression, you replace it with its simplest name. Okay, and what I mean by that is if you had a problem there we go. If you had a problem that was, let's say 5 plus 4 minus 11 times 2, that is 4 different numbers, right? But what we can do is actually work that expression out and bring those 4 numbers down to 1 number. Okay. Now, not every time, when you simplify, you can't always simplify down to one single number, but just to kind of give you an idea. So to simplify, we could take those 4 numbers and kind of break them down into a single number in this case. So to simplify an expression, you replace it with its simplest name. An expression may also include exponents. And what an exponent is a shorthand way to show a product of equal factors. Okay, so this, for example, is an exponent. 3 to the second power. It does not mean 3 times 2. What that actually means, so 3 to the second power means 3 times 3, which is 9. So some of these expressions you may also see exponents, which is kind of a shorthand way to show the product of equal factors. In this case, 3 times 3. So another, and I wrote this in word form here, but just to give you an example, 2 to the 4th power can be simplified to 16. There we go. So 2 to the 4th power can be simplified to 16. Because what you're doing is you're taking the base, which let me move this arrow over a little bit, but you're taking the base, which is the larger number, and then you're multiplying the base by the exponent, or how many times that exponent tells you to multiply. So 2 to the 4th actually means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So you're multiplying 2 4 different times. Okay, so 2 to the 4th can be simplified to 16. Really quickly, just to show you how that works. So 2 times 2 would be 4. 4 times 2 would be 8. And then 8 times 2 would be 16. So 2 to the 4th power does not mean 2 times 4. It means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So you're multiplying 2 4 different times. There are actually 2 special kind of exponents, which you probably have heard before, and they are squared and cubed. Now, I just use the variable x right now because it doesn't matter what the number is what that number is. X just means we don't know, but x, anything to the second power is called squared, and anything to the third power, so in this case I have x to the third power is cubed. So just to throw a number in there, so squared, x to the second would mean x times x. X to the third would mean x times x times x. So three x's being multiplied by each other. Okay? Order of operations. The order in which an expression is simplified. A lot of you, I'm sure, in the past have probably heard the "please excuse my dear Aunt Sally," that PEMDAS, and that is basically telling you what operation you need to use first when simplifying an expression. Okay, so please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. And what does that mean? I'm just going to show all three lines here. So the P means parentheses, and the E means exponents. So when you're presented with an expression, the very first thing that you need to do, or the very first operations you need to take care of, you need to solve for the parenthesis. Then you need to solve for the exponent. Okay, so if you go all the way through the expression looking for parentheses and exponents, once you've solved for both of those, the next thing that you would move to would be multiplication and division. And you would look through that expression and try to find multiplication and division portions of that expression next and solve those. And then finally, you're going to do your A and S, your addition and subtraction. So after you've done parentheses and exponents, multiplication and division, the very last thing you look for in terms of simplifying a problem is addition and subtraction. Okay, so like I said a second ago, the beautiful thing about having these on video is that if I'm going a little bit quick, you can rewind me, you can pause me, so you can write these down. I'm probably going a bit quicker than maybe I would inside the classroom, but that's because I know you guys have the option of pausing, rewinding, going back and reviewing this after the fact. So just kind of wanted to give you a heads up of that. So let's switch over and do 4 order of operation problems, kind of applying some of the skills that we talked about a second ago. Okay, so this first problem, what we have is 2 times 8 plus 2 times 3. Okay, so how do we simplify this? The first thing we need to do is think about our "please excuse my dear Aunt Sally," right? So do we have parentheses or exponents? Okay, in this problem, I don't see any. There's no parentheses and there's no exponents. So we're going to then go down to the next 2 in the order of operations, which would be multiplication and division. And we absolutely have multiplication here. 2 times 8, that's a multiplication problem. So 2 times 8 is what I would do first. And 2 times 8 equals 16, right? And then we have an addition portion, right? But we're going to skip that for now because we have another multiplication problem at the end of this expression. It's 2 times 3. So 2 times 3 would be 6. And then let's not forget about our addition that's up here. We're going to drop that down. So we completed our multiplication first. Now we're going to add 16 plus 6, which gives us 22. Pretty simple. Now these will get a little bit more tricky as time goes on, but just that's a good problem to get us started with. So let's go to the second example, which is going to be on the top right. And that is going to be 9 minus 2 times 4. Similar to last problem, I do not see any parentheses and I do not see any exponents. What I see is subtraction and multiplication. So I know from my order of operations that after parentheses and exponents comes multiplication and division, and there is a multiplication problem here. Okay, so we're going to do 2 times 4, which is 8. And then we're going to drop down 9. And that's a minus. So 9 minus 8. 9 minus 8 equals 1. really quickly, just to kind of give you a little heads up here. So order of operations is huge. You can do the operations correctly, but if you don't do them in the proper order, your number is going to be totally different. So just to give you an example, we figured out that 9 minus 2 times 4, the answer is actually 1. But if you didn't do things in the proper order, and let's say you just did 9 minus 2 first, 9 minus 2 is 7. 7 times 4 would be 28. 28 is an awful lot different than the actual answer, which is 1. So that's what's so critical about order of operations and doing things in the proper order. Okay, we're going to do 2 more examples, and then we will be done for this video. So let me scroll down. So our next one, a little bit more difficult. We have a little more going on in this problem. So we have 8 plus 7 times parenthesis 4 minus 3. Okay, hopefully the first thing that jumps out to you is the fact that there's a parentheses there. Okay, and remember our order is parentheses and exponents, followed by multiplication and division, and then you finish with addition and subtraction. So let's get rid of that parenthesis. So let's figure out everything that's inside of this parenthesis. 4 minus 3. Pretty simple. 4 minus 3 is going to be 1. Okay, and then I'm just going to drop everything else down. So 8 plus 7 times 1. Okay, so that's an ugly looking addition. I'm trying to fix it. There we go. It's not much better, but I'm trying. Okay, so we have 8 plus 7 times 1. What comes first, addition or multiplication? Remember, parentheses exponents followed by multiplication and division. And there is a multiplication operation in there, so we need to figure that out. 7 times 1 is going to be 7. And then finally, I'm going to drop the rest of my problem down, which is 8 plus 7. 8 plus 7 equals 15. We are going to continue to just plug away and work on order of operations. We're going to work on it pretty much the rest of this week. So if this isn't clicking and you're like, man, I need to see some more examples, don't panic. We're going to continue to plug away at this. But at least for this video and for today, we're going to do one more. So 8 times 5 minus 4 plus 7 to the second. So what I noticed right away is that we don't have a parenthesis, but we do have an exponent. That's 7 squared, or 7 to the second power. That is an exponent. So that's the very first thing we need to figure out. So remember, 7 to the second does not mean 7 times 2. 7 to the second means 7 times 7, which is 49. 49. Then we're going to drop the rest of our problem down. Okay, so 8 times 5 minus 4 plus 49. So now, if you look, we have 8 times 5 minus 4 plus 49. So we had no parenthesis. We did have an exponent, and we solved it. Now we need to look for multiplication and division. And I noticed right away there is no division in here, but there absolutely is multiplication. There is 8 times 5. So 8 times 5, is going to be 40. And then I simply dropped everything else down. Now, what some of you may be thinking, which is a great question, is now what do you do first if you have multiplication, or if you have subtraction and addition? Which one do you do first? Do you still have to do addition first, or can you do subtraction? Remember when in my notes, I kind of had them grouped. Parentheses and exponents were grouped. Multiplication and division were grouped. And addition and subtraction were grouped. So those are kind of like the groups you would go through in order to figure out what your next step is. So if you're left with a problem like this where it's subtraction and addition, Remember, subtraction and addition were grouped together. So you do not have to necessarily do the addition part first. You can actually do the subtraction first if you'd like to. So, or actually you should do the subtraction first. So 40 minus 4 is going to be 36 plus 49. Guys, I'm really sorry. My writing's getting so bad. I'm running out of room. Let me extend the page just slightly. So 36 plus 49. Let's group them on top of each other just so it's a little bit easier for me to deal with here. So we're going to do 49 plus 36. 6 plus 9 is 15. I'm going to put my 5 down here. Carry my 1. 3 plus 4 is 7. Plus 1 would be 8. So our answer is 85. I hope this is a good introduction, and we will continue to plug away at order of operations and simplifying expressions in the coming days. Thanks for watching.